Could the Premier League really do a all-stars game of North versus South? In this video, I'll talk about if I think it can happen, whether I think it should happen, why I'm making this video, and then I'll talk about the South versus North teams, the strongest teams, who would win, what would happen, what I think would happen anyway, and then a little challenge at the end that I did. You can do as well, although I don't think your team can do better than mine in the challenge. So this video obviously inspired by the recent interview that Todd Boehly, American Chelsea owner, recently made, and I have some, conflicting thoughts. Really, I think the Premier League can improve. I like the relegation idea, although if you do finish 17th, you will feel very hard done by then going into a playoff. It does sound a bit harsh. I did like the Champions League. I watched James Alcott's video, and he said that there should be a Champions League sort of playoff, and at first I didn't mind it. I thought it was actually the better idea. But the more I think of it, I'm a Spurs fan, and if we finished 4th and then had to go into the playoffs, I'd be devastated if we lost to Arsenal. I do disagree with that, and I don't disagree with the fact that there can be changes made to the Premier League. I personally like the North versus South game. I don't mind it. I think if it came in for, let's say, the Community Shield, I think it would be perfect. However, well, not perfect, there's obviously some issues with it. For me, the problem with Todd Boehly is the actual reason why he wants to do it. He doesn't want to change the English game for the better. He wants to change the English game for more money. That's the problem with these American owners. Football's just so much different to every other sport, and I think that's where American owners come in and get it very wrong with football. Now here's a tweet from Ben Foster, obviously you know him, just retired, on the North versus South, and I actually agree with most things that Ben Foster actually says here. Play it instead of the Charity Shield. The best Northern and the best Southern player, as voted by fans, are team captains. That's probably fair, I think. And then the players actually get to pick the next player to go on their team, which I think is actually a very good idea, because it's the actual players picking. It's sort of like school, isn't it? When you pick faces. I think it's a good idea, and I like the fact that he says that players. Oh, voice crack. The fact that players shouldn't be allowed to choose someone from their own team. I think that's perfect. Otherwise, De Bruyne would just choose Haaland. Let's be honest. I like the three from same team. Personally, I would go 2 or probably 1. I think if you've got 3 players from the same team, you'll have 3 teams. You'll have 4 teams probably in there. The challenge I've set for you later is, can you do a 1 player from each club? So if you are doing the North, obviously there's 10 teams, so you can only have 1 player from each team. But obviously because there's 11 players, you can have 2 from 1. So yeah, I completely agree with Ben Foster here on most things. I think this is a great idea. I like the players picking whoever. Yeah, I like that. Now, let's get on to the North team. This is just the strongest teams you can choose. How many players you want from 1 club. This is just the strongest team you can make. And this is what I have gone for. Very Liverpool and Man City heavy. Of course, 2 of the best teams, we've ever seen in the Premier League. Got Alisson, Trent in there, Cancelo. For me, I look at this, I'm thinking Haaland is eaten, because Trent, Cancelo, Saint-Maximin, Bernardo Silva, De Bruyne supporting him. This team is unbelievable. Now, it is stronger than the South team, in my opinion. It is. You've got De Bruyne, Haaland. Of course, we've already seen this season what they can do. You've got Mo Salah. Now, my problem, I actually wasn't going to choose Mo Salah, because I didn't just choose who's the best player. I was going to go for who I think will suit Haaland better, because I think if you have Haaland, you play to Haaland. But Mo Salah's too good to leave out. It's a bit of bad form. It's actually been about 9 months of bad form, but I just couldn't leave him out. I just couldn't do it. I was so close to going Bernardo Silva midfield and Bruno or something, or Bruno Guimaraes in midfield, but I've gone for Salah just because of how good he is. One of the best wingers we've ever seen in the Prem. Should Varane be in there, you could have chose Kanate, Matip, Botman, Ruben Diaz, of course, Laporte, John Stones. But I think Varane, Van Dijk, is perfect. I think that's a perfect back two, to be honest. Varane, I think, has shown this season the quality that he has. Him and Martinez have built a fantastic partnership. Don't know about relationship, who knows? Never know. St. Maximin, obviously, could have been Luis Diaz. It could have been. It's not going to be Jack Grealish or Foden. I don't think they're on the same level as St. Maximin personally, or Diaz. It was either St. Maximin or Diaz. I love St. Maximin. I think he's incredible. I think he's very underrated. I think we take his pace and dribbling and all of his skills for granted because we're too focused on goals and assists these days, even though his numbers ain't actually that bad. But yeah, that midfield, I could have put Gundogan in, of course, but Bernardo Silva just, over the past year, really come back to form, been amazing, and that midfield is unbelievable. It's actually a bit scary that all of them play for Man City. Now let's head over to Team South. Now let's see what they have. And of course, heavy on the Chelsea and Spurs. No Arsenal player. I know it's controversial. Now, Arsenal, of course, are a very good team, yes, but you don't really have an outstanding player, in my opinion. Like, Jesus is good, but he's not getting in over that front three. He's just not. Bowen, of course, could have got in, Kulusevski, but, we wanted teamwork in this team, and that front three has clearly been the best front three in the Premier League. Dejan Kulusevski has, I think, the second most assists in the Premier League in 2022. I think he has 10. That midfield too of Rice and Kante, I think, is good. Obviously, the other team has more quality, so this team's going to be a bit more defensive, soak up the pressure, counter-attacking team. Kante and Rice, I think, are perfect for that. If we do want to go pressing, if we want to trigger the press on someone, I don't know, maybe I think is all the teams north have good players on the ball, but if we want to trigger the press, I think we have the players to do so. I think we have willing workers. I think that back three is you've got some of the best defenders in the league right there in Romero, Thiago Silva, Koulibaly. I think Romero and Thiago Silva are actually in the top three. Obviously got Van Dijk first. I would say Koulibaly struggled a little bit in his Chelsea career so far, but we've seen times, the game against Spurs and Everton, where he was absolutely brilliant for them, and he's been nearly world class for like a decade. So I think he's a fantastic player. The wing backs are really strong from Chelsea. James Chilwell, yeah, I like them too. Can really get involved in the play. Will be massive for Kane and Son and Kulusevski. I think this is just a really strong team, actually. And I think most people would say North would win the game. And I would probably say that as well. But this team can cause problems. It really can. We've seen, Kane, Kulusevski and Son beat Man City twice last season, draw to Liverpool twice last season. They can do it against the best players in the league, but they will have to be efficient. I think this team can win. Edouard Mendy in goal, of course. Could have gone Hugo Lloris. I'm a Spurs fan. I think Hugo Lloris is the most underrated keeper in the Prem, but Mendy I do think is a little bit better, despite struggling sometimes on the ball, which actually Lloris has been criticised quite a lot for in the past. But yeah, I like this team. It's really strong. I just think Team North would probably win by about 2-1. I think this team definitely scores in the game. I think it does. But Team North is so strong. Haaland's a problem. He really is. Like a massive, massive problem. Yeah, if you want to drop Rice deeper and just make a back six and go fully park the bus, I think you can. Yeah, I like this team. I think it's good. Yeah. So let's move on to the challenge now. And the challenge is, of course, to so if you have a North team, there's obviously 10 teams from North and South. You get one player from each team, but because there's 11 players, you can have 2 players from one team, but only once. I don't think I explained that very well at all. However, this is my North team, and I want you to try and beat it, okay? I don't think you can. I think it's impossible for you to beat this. I think it's possible. That's all I'm going to say. I don't think you can beat it. So this is my team North. Now I've got Pickford in goal. I rate Pickford highly. I think he's a massive reason why Everton stayed up last season. We've got Trent and Varane, who were actually in the original North team. Max Kilman, been very impressive for Wolves. Nico Williams. I know what you're thinking. Nico Williams, he's a right back. And can he play as a full back, not a wing back? I think he can. I think he definitely can. And he plays left back or left wing back for Wales. It's usually Connor Roberts on the other side, Nico Williams left wing back. So he can do it. Very good at cutting in and using his right foot as well. The midfield too. Now I actually put a tweet out asking Leeds fans who is their best player. Now there was some Meslier shouts, some Jack Harrison shouts, some Sinistera shouts, but there were a lot. And the most popular one was Tyler Adams by far. Apparently he just doesn't stop working. He could be a future captain, some of them say. So that's why he's made it in for me. I haven't actually watched him that much, so I'm just taking it out for Leeds fans. So we've got the workhorse in there, and I think pretty sure he's decent on the ball as well. But we've also got someone who's very decent on the ball next to him in Youri Tielemans, playing that probably deep line playmaker role, setting up Haaland, Bailey, Saint-Maximin. I think he's a massive threat for us in that sense. And just in front, the best player in the Premier League, we've got Kevin De Bruyne. I've just realised I haven't put who's captain. The captain of this team would be Kevin De Bruyne because he's the best player. I like the idea of that. I think Saint-Maximin then obviously was in the original team as well. I just said how much I rate Saint-Maximin. I think he's incredible. On the other side, a new player, Leon Bailey. Obviously, injuries is a problem for him, but every time he plays, he looks class. Gets a lot of assists. I think he could work well with Haaland in particular and Kevin De Bruyne. And then up front, of course, I could not put anyone but Erling Haaland. And, you know, if you're going to choose a team to have two players from, it's going to be Man City, and it would be them too. I think this team is unbelievable, to be honest. I think I can't see you beating it. If you beat me, then fair enough, but I look forward to seeing it. Haaland, I mean, he's got 11 goals in 7 games. And De Bruyne's the top assister in the league with 6 assists. And Saint-Maximin, Bailey, there's problems for a South team. Let's just say that. Now let's go on to the South team. Now obviously because the quality that the North has, you sort of have to go a bit more counter-attacking football. Now I know what you're thinking. You're looking at that back 5 and you're thinking, oh my word, that is awful. It's not. It's not awful. Because you look at David Raya. Is his first name David? David? I think so. Raya, good player. Solid player in there for Brentford. Kyle Walker-Peters is someone I rate. I like him. Anderson, I think, is one of the most underrated centre-backs in the league. You can always ping them long balls to Son, which can be dangerous. The diagonal ball over to Saka as well. So you've got a threat from our centre-back, which is huge. And also, I think he's probably in the top 10 centre-backs in the Premier League. So, you know, he's no chump, okay? Joachim Andersen, very good player. Lewis Dunk, we know he's a good player. Zamora. But actually, I want to talk about my biggest problem with the North vs South All-Star game and doing this is you have a Brighton and Crystal Palace player as a centre-back partnership. I asked I sent this team to my friend, he's a Crystal Palace fan. I said, what do you think of it? And he said, I will never want to see Joachim Andersen next to Lewis Dunk in a centre-back partnership. I was like, fair enough. That is, yeah, I understand. That is a big problem with this concept. You know, you've got an Arsenal player working with Spurs and West Ham working with Chelsea and Spurs, Chelsea working with Spurs, obviously Palace and Brighton, Chelsea and Fulham. You know, it's just, oh. And then on the other side, you've got Liverpool working with City, with Man United. You've got Man United working with City, of course, as well. It's not ideal. That's my biggest problem with it, and it's probably the reason it doesn't work actually, which is disappointing, because it's just such a big negative that you have a Brighton and Palace player working as a centre-back partnership. But anyway, Lewis Dunk, that's boring. Let's move on to the fun stuff. Dunk, I think he's a good player. I think we all know he's a good player. And Zamora, I think probably the Bournemouth player I've been impressed with the most, not just because he scored on the weekend either. I just think he did really well against Bukayo Saka, actually. In the midfield, I've basically gone for two, it's sort of similar players, Rice and Palhinha. Yeah, defending very deep, Palhinha and Rice, stopping anything that comes through. It's sort of similar to the Rice-Soucek partnership. Just Palhinha's probably a bit better defensively. I've been really impressed with his tackling, puts up great tackling numbers. And obviously we know Declan Rice, one of the best midfielders in the league. if not one of the best CDMs in the world. I think so. In centre attacking mid, one of the most underrated players in the league, Mason Mount, in my opinion. I think he's amazing. You know, people talk about Mount, Foden, Saka, all these players. You know, Mount, goal contributions wise, is fantastic. And not just that, his quality. I don't think his technical ability gets looked at enough. That goal versus West Ham he scored last season was unbelievable. Front three, Kulusevski obviously out of this one. You can only have 2 Spurs players, but Saka, not a bad player to come in, of course. Yeah, I think this front three can cause problems. I like that you can move it into a 4-2-2-2 if you want. You know, bring in Kane as a centre attacking mid, putting Son and Saka up front for that pace. I like it. I think this team is good. However, I think they get beat. I think it's a 2-1 again to the North. I think this team probably scores, but I think the North just have too much. I think it's just a solid team. I think this team would defend well, especially with Palhinha, Rice, you know, bringing that cover. And it's quite a big team as well. However, there's just too much quality on that North side. Yeah, I think the North would win this one. So let me know what you think. If you can do this, if you think you can build a better team than I can, then send it to me as well. I want to see, and then compare it to my team. And if you have enjoyed the video, give it a like and subscribe if you are new. And thank you for watching.